And I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gouging on food.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Vice President Kamala Harris proposing Soviet-style price caps on food. Now, her objective may seem virtuous and righteous to many. We're not going to allow these companies to take advantage of people. We're not going to allow price gouging, not gauging. We're not going to allow price gouging because it's an immoral practice and that shouldn't be going on in the US of A. But I kind of beg to differ. You see, there's an argument for price gouging. And I'm not even getting into the whole feelings part. I'm not a feelings guy. I'm about what makes sense. When you try to put price caps on food, all you're going to do is cause a lot of problems like what happened in Soviet, USSR, Venezuela, etc. And I'm not surprised she tried to do this before we get to the video because her vice presidential nominee, her pick, Tim Walz, is a big time commie who was in China during Tiananmen Square teaching. Now, have I heard him speak about the atrocities of the Tiananmen Square situation in the media at all? Maybe you have, but I haven't. Is there a reason for that? I don't really know. But before I go any further, let's get to the clips here. First, we got to check out Kamala talking about the whole price caps thing, the price gouging. Let's hear her talk about that in full, and then we're going to hear the media reacting to it, including CNN. Surprisingly enough, CNN does not have a positive take on this. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
As Attorney General in California, I went after companies that illegally increased prices, including wholesalers that inflated the price of prescription medication, and companies that conspired with competitors to keep prices of electronics high. I won more than $1 billion for consumers.
Now, who's to say what price is high and what price is low? Who's to actually say that? And the government, when they intervene in things like this, they often make the problem worse. Because check it out. COVID-19, the vaccination, that was free, right? I've never gotten it, so I wouldn't know. But it wasn't free because we, the taxpayer, paid for it. The federal government wrote a blank check to Big Pharma, and the government kind of conspired to force us to take it by way of employer mandates. So they got a lot of money. Big Pharma got broken off. The federal government got broken off. Washington, D.C. people got broken off a big piece of money, and we, the people, suffer as a result. So I don't think the government would be the source of our solution to the problem. Let's keep on going.
So believe me, as president, I will go after the bad actors.
And by the way, this is a weird speech. What's up with the background? Why is the background blurred out? Why can't we see the people behind her? Is she even there? Is it a green screen? Because I'm seeing shadows behind her. So where is she actually at? You see her shoulder? Hold on. I'm going to show you something right quick. Now, you guys don't freak out too much at what's happening. Look at her shoulder right here. Look at this. Do you see the shoulder shadow? And it's consistent. There's separation between her and the background. So what is this? Like, what is it exactly? Is it a teleconference? Some kind of optical illusion? What am I actually seeing? I don't really know, but let's continue.
And I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gouging on food. My plan will include new penalties for opportunistic companies that exploit crises and break the rules, and we will support smaller food businesses that are trying to play by the rules and get ahead.
This is USSR. It is a recipe for disaster. Hey, where's the food? Can I get a grain of rice? Can I get a piece of bread? Can I get some kind of nutrition aside from the bugs you probably want us to eat in the very near future? Okay, listen, price gouging happens when there's a crisis. And here's a good example of what you're talking about going against what the people will actually need. So, quick story. there was a storm, Mississippi, Louisiana, somewhere, and people were left without power, without food, without water, without a lot of necessities. Now, there was a guy who purchased a bunch of generators. It might have been between 10 and 20 generators. He put them in a U-Haul. He drives 600 miles to this place. Regular dude, regular normie. He drives 600 miles to this place where all the disaster happened, and he's offering to sell the generators for twice what he purchased them. Now, somebody could say that's price gouging. That shouldn't be legal because I don't like the way that sounds. But to the people that are right there, nobody's coming to help them. They don't have any power. They don't have essential resources for them. He's a godsend. Ain't nobody else coming here. The feds ain't coming here. The locals ain't coming here with any kind of assistance like this. So I need this right now. Let me buy it. You know what happened? The police confiscated the generators and locked that guy up. But then when you go out into the town and ask the people, hey, what do you need? Generators? Can we please get the guy out of jail so we can get a generator like we were trying to get from the beginning? Like, what's going on? My neighbor got one. Can I get one too? But I digress. Let's keep on going.
We will help the food industry become more competitive because I believe competition is the lifeblood of our economy. More competition means lower prices for you and your families.
Now, when you have more competition, a good way to increase competition when you're talking about businesses, lowering the barrier to entry, which means lowering taxes on these corporations, on these big businesses, which is the exact same thing that Trump was talking about. But you're talking about something else. You're putting price caps. You're going to make it difficult for people to kind of operate at a certain. All you're really going to do is enable the big businesses the same way that happened under C-19 when you shut down small businesses because they were quote unquote non-essential, but then you allowed Walmart to stay open. So Walmart is considered essential. All they're going to do is just get more money while the small guy goes out of business. So you're saying one thing, but your actions denote another intent. Now let's go to the next thing here. This is
Catherine
on CNN at all places in the world. They're talking about this price cap plan being a bad idea. Check it out.
I read your piece and I heard you just mention it. The federal ban on price gouging for groceries. You are skeptical of this. Why?
Well, first of all, nobody can explain what price gouging means. It's like that old line about pornography. I know it when I see it. In the sense that what does it mean to have an excessive price or an excessive profit margin?
Who's going to be the arbiter of that? And will this process of arbitration be free from corruption? I don't think so. See California, the whole minimum wage hike that included most fast food restaurants or restaurants that operate in that kind of style, with the exception of a place that sells singular bread items to the public from a bakery inside the place, which excluded a bunch of Panera Breads. And the reason why that happened is probably because the guy who owns a bunch of Panera Bread franchises in California went to the same high school as the governor, Gavin Newsom. Just a coincidence. They're right around the same age. They probably grew up next to each other. Just a coincidence. And also Gavin Newsom's restaurants that he had stakes in were also exempt from that law. How convenient. But I digress.
That seems to be shorthand for a price or a profit margin that bugs me. That seems too high. So, it's very hard to pin down what this would actually mean. If you look at the legislation that, as I mentioned, is already in the Senate, led by Senate Warren and Senator Bob Casey and a slew of others, the particular way that this is written, which is likely to be the template for any proposal that Harris would eventually embrace, is especially bad in that it just bans excessive prices, grossly excessive prices, grossly excessive profit margins, and says that the Federal Trade Commission can use any metric it deems appropriate to decide what that would mean, which basically says, like, it's not going to be markets, it's not going to be supply and demand that's determining how much your grocery store charges you for milk or for eggs. It's going to be some bureaucrat in DC, which seems like totally unworkable, first of all, for the FTC to be deciding like how much Kroger charges for eggs.
it doesn't make any sense at all. They're going to be 100% out of their place doing this. This should not be up to the government to be trying to determine the price of Hass avocados in your Publix. It doesn't make any sense. And like they do everything else, they're going to fail. Listen, if you have one job as a Secret Service, and that's to protect one person, the president, and you fail at that, how can the government as a whole be able to determine the price of individual SKUs in the grocery store or the grocery store itself or just any old business? How is that even possible?
In Michigan, but it also would be very bad for markets. We've seen this kind of thing tried in lots of other countries before: Venezuela, Argentina, the Soviet Union, etc. It leads to shortages. It leads to black markets, plenty of uncertainty. And beyond that, the specific way this bill is written might actually increase prices because of some of the other language in it. Things like requiring public companies to disclose in their quarterly reports, their quarterly earnings reports, how they're setting prices, which is a great way to help them collude, which normally we don't want them to do. So anyway, the devil's in the details, I guess, for that bill, but it's really hard for me to imagine any form of legislation that preserves the spirit of what she's proposing that would not be, at best do nothing, at worst cause a lot of harm.
There you go. So even CNN is talking about Kamala's price cap plan to eliminate so-called price-gouging. They're talking about that being some communist stuff that was done before: Soviet Union, Venezuela, Argentina, etc. Things that don't work. So if it didn't work all these other times, why would it work now, Tim Waltz? I know you were a commie, got trained in China. You've been there 30 times on official visits. I know you're a commie, but come on, man. We don't want that here in the USA. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on this communist plan from Kamala Harris? You like it, you hate it, you're for it, you're against it, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This is a ridiculous plan. It doesn't make any sense to normies that have no idea about politics. They're going to say, hey, it sounds pretty good. Price gouging, that's a bad thing. I don't want that to happen. I want to be able to, but that's not the way the world works, really. Okay, a lot of things, a lot of factors go into what a wage actually is, into what a price actually is. The government just can't arbitrarily set numbers and say it can't go above this or below that. That's not how anything works. All you're going to do is just mess everything up in the end. What may appear to be a good idea to some people is not actually workable in reality. Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that is all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.